People are complaining that Elden Ring is difficult, Beyond Good and Evil 2 is apparently still happening, and Palworld might be coming to PlayStation. And I will also be talking about some of the games that I played in this episode of What's New in Games. And we're going to dive into the very first story, and that is Elden Ring DLC, because a lot of people apparently do not like this game because it's hard. Elden Ring Shadow of the Earth Tree came out last week and a lot of people have been jumping in. The game had around 700,000 people playing on Steam. The DLC is so big that it can be a standalone game. It also became the highest rated DLC of all time based on Metacritic scores, which is 95 for this one, and beating Witcher 3's Blood and Wine DLC, the last one, which was rated at 92. However, people are saying that the game is difficult. In a Souls game. Yeah, you're not wrong, that does sound stupid. While some people have said that the game has performance issues on PC, there's a lot of stutters, especially in boss battle. You jump in, you're fighting this boss, and there's stutters because of which you get damage from the boss and probably get one shot kill. Obviously, the DLC is harder than the base game, but it also includes a new leveling system which is based on in-game items that you can collect. This is a balancing technique so that people who have extremely leveled up can still find a challenge in the game with the boss battles. Right now, the game is sitting at mixed reviews on Steam, with some of the complaints being about performance issues, while a lot of complaints also being about how hard this game is. Some of the reviews are exploring is enjoyable, but it feels exhausting at times knowing that the next boss is going to be a headache. Hard for the sake of being hard. Also, rewards for exploration sucks because I've hit all hard or soft caps, so levels are almost useless for me. Now, I have never played Souls game. Not that I haven't tried it, I haven't finished it. I have tried, I get frustrated quite easily, so that's not a game for me. So I'm probably the last person to judge the game. However, I feel like everybody who has played the Souls-like game, from Dark Souls, Sekiro, they should know that these games are hard, and Elden Ring is kind of less hard as based on other people's comments because you have such an open area to explore. And obviously the DLC I've seen some of the bosses, they look terrifying, and it is harder and obviously will be harder because, well, Elden Ring is that way. Being hard and challenging is a game's core mechanic, is why people play Elden Ring, because once you beat that difficulty level and actually defeat that boss, it is so much satisfying. The game's director Hidetaka Miyazaki has also mentioned that if they reduce the difficulty level for the game so that more people can play it, it will lose that touch that, Souls games are like. That enjoyment and satisfaction of finally beating that enemy after multiple tries and deaths is rewarding. And that will be taken away if the difficulty was reduced. Of course, I haven't played the game, I'm not a Souls fan, but if you are a Souls fan and you are complaining about the game being hard, it makes no sense. Then you're not a Souls fan then. And I do not know how to segue into this story, but the next story is about Ubisoft because they are releasing Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary, and apparently Beyond Good and Evil 2. The 20th Anniversary edition of Beyond Good and Evil is now out on all platforms including Switch. It has all these upgrades, 4K textures, all of the upgrades that you're looking for in any of the Anniversary editions, but it also has a new thing added into it, a new treasure hunt that directly links to the story of Beyond Good and Evil 2. Obviously, people are speculating what's happening with Beyond Good and Evil 2. Some people expected that they will not release Beyond Good and Evil 2, and that's why they're releasing the 20th Anniversary Edition, which kind of makes no sense. Why would they do that? But still. However, the Beyond Good and Evil official Twitter account posted a thread on Twitter, and one of the messages was Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still under development. But here it is official. Thank God the game is still under development. For the past 8 years. The game has been in development hell apparently. There has been a lot of changes. The game has restarted multiple times in development. There has been management changes. A lot of things happening in the world of Beyond Good and Evil 2. Will it ever come out? Don't know, but a lot of people already expected that the game is not coming out and gave up hope, including myself. So a small message of the game still being under development is how will it look like as compared to the 2016 announcement? God knows how. And speaking of something exciting, it looks like Palworld is coming to PS5 finally. After Palworld's incredible success with 25 million players in the first month of its launch on Xbox and PC, everybody wants to play Palworld, but it was not available on PS5, only on Xbox consoles. However, in a recent tweet, Bucky, the community manager, says that he wanted to add more hearts to the existing one, which included black, green, and white, which is essentially Xbox, and then he added black, green, white, and blue heart and typed, "It looks good, I think." Basically, blue is the primary color of PlayStation, so it kind of feels like it is coming to PlayStation because there was also a eye-rolling emoji. That definitely gives you the idea that it's coming on PS5. If you didn't know about Palworld, it's basically Pokemon with guns, as many refer to it. You're collecting pals, which is like Pokemons in this world. They also have firearms, and it's quite fun, apparently. I haven't played the game. I never tried the game out. Didn't really appeal to me. And I know two of the games that I mentioned in this news video so far, I did not play. But still, it's one of the biggest games out there, which is made by an indie studio. And speaking of PlayStation, apparently based on rumors, PS3 games might be played on PS5 based on backwards compatibility. Now, this is coming from Nick from Xbox Era Podcast, who does a lot of rumors. We don't even know how many rumors are true, which ones are false. It's very hard to tell, but it did specify a rumor that he has heard from his sources that PS3 backwards compatibility is being worked upon on only a few select games. What does that mean? We don't know, but it could be possible that some of the big first-party games of PS3 generation might be ported to PS5 with the backwards compatibility, such as God of War games, Infamous, maybe Resistance. Some of those games might be coming to PS5. Now, currently, you can play PS3 games but only through streaming via the PS Plus subscription. But in many countries, including myself, in India, we do not have streaming services available, so we cannot play PS3 games in PS5 at all. You need to have a PS3 system, which I don't have. Currently, the only backwards compatibility option in PS5 is playing PS4 games, and that is not the very best because there's a lot of PS3 games which were pretty solid. But having that backwards compatibility on big PS3 games would be a big plus, especially how good Xbox is with its backwards compatibility. PlayStation never was, and that is the biggest complaint out there, so hopefully this can fix things. And now it's time to talk about some of the games I played, and one of the game is called Still Wakes the Deep. Now this game is made by Chinese Room, who are incredible developers who have made some incredible games. And if you've watched the movie The Thing, then this game will definitely be for you because it has that horror in it. You're working in this oil rig in the middle of the ocean and you're working as a mechanic, but things just go terribly wrong. Something happens and it's affecting everybody. Well, it is a walking simulator through and through. You're hiding most of the time. You're also doing very basic objectives. There's not much of puzzle solving. A game similar to this is Outlast, where you're also running away, hiding, and all of that stuff is happening, which you will see in this game as well. But somehow this game executes it very well because of its visual design, the amazing voice acting, a lot of screams, the sound effects are incredible. All of this environment and the atmosphere just sets the mood perfectly. It feels like a perfect game because of this amazing setting. Perfect is probably a very strong word, but it's a very good game in this incredible setting. Now in this game, you're chased by monsters and you have to hide and avoid and not make sound so that you can get past them without being detected. Those sort of things happen, but these monsters are very, very ugly to look at. These monsters are basically humans tangled in a very weird way with some of the things around it. It's a very body horror type of thing going around. However, most of these monsters were also designed sort of the same, and there's no variety in it. You're also doing the same things. You're essentially just hiding and just going around, not making enough noise and just hiding, and that's it. There are one or two chase sequences with the monster, but otherwise it's just the same mechanic over and over again. So that is a little bit of a disappointment. Maybe something more could have been added there to make all of these monsters unique in their own way. But what made me keep on going and keep on wanting to know more is because of the characters in this game. Every single character has done such an incredible job. Like, you are caring about each of these characters, including your own, because there is a story attached to you as well. And you see these flashbacks, you hear your wife, something happened. So you have that story, and you also see a lot of deaths, and it's very incredible. The visual aesthetic of it, just the graphics of it is so cool, and it plays so well. It's an indie horror game that did very well, has a very interesting story. Even though it's a walking simulator, it has done such a good job, especially nailing that atmosphere that you want in games like these. I also played a few other games that were basically game demos from Play Next Fest that happened recently. One of the game is Caravan Sandwitch, which is a very interesting game because it looks pretty and very calming. It's a game which is very chill, relaxed. You do very simple objectives. You explore a lot. You have a truck or a van that you drive around, which is very basic and very cool. The visual style of it is very, very calming. You know, it's one of those games where you just happily move around and it's nothing serious. It's very simple and it's very cool. You have some interactions with the characters. You do some very basic puzzles here and there and some very basic objectives. From the demo that I played, the world is huge. There is a storm far in the distance, which is very intriguing. And your father is missing. He's gone out and he will be coming back, but he has not came back yet. Definitely there's more into that. But what the demo gave is essentially a very cool world, a very cool, cinematic feel to it. And at the same time, no fall damage. So I was jumping off cliffs, all the way. The second game I played was Dustborn. It reminded me of Life is Strange, and while it is that, it is also a lot more. It has its own unique art style and a unique aesthetic to it, but what I really liked about this game that immediately caught my attention is the dialogue moments. Every single dialogue that you're having, it's not a fixed camera angle. You can actually move your camera to focus on any character you want. So if there's 4 characters talking in this cutscene of sorts, you can actually move the camera around anywhere you want, facing one character at a time. That is such a cool mechanic that should have been there in the previous game, but it is now in this game, which I think is very, very cool. Obviously, characters that you will care about definitely, and relationships that you need to build upon. You have choices and all the other stuff that you have seen in games like Life is Strange and The Walking Dead, let's say, or any Telltale games. However, there's also combat in this game, which is quite surprising. The combat is very basic, bare bones. It's also a little bit weird at times. It's rough around the edges, but it's pretty fun. You have this baseball bat in this demo where you can throw it and it will come back to you like Kratos' axe. You also have multiple abilities that you can do, by yourself, or you can do with your team around as well. It's a very fun, very simple combat which does its job. It's engaging. It's not the best, but it's still pretty good. There are certain moments that is a little off in those combat scenarios, but hopefully they can kind of fix it and tighten it around or something like that. Something feels missing in those combat maneuvers. But again, this game is not about combat, so I think it also makes sense, and I can also take that kind of complaints away. The demo actually did a very good job showcasing every single moment or every single thing that the game will have, and going through multiple chapters here and there, just multiple scenes and multiple scenarios. It looks very good. It's coming out sometime soon, and I'm very much excited for it. Another game I played which looks amazing and incredible is called The Alters. Now this game looks and reminds me a little bit about Death Stranding based on the visual design. The details, the look and environments, the effects, the particles, all of it looks really cool. The only problem with this game is its open world-ish setting where some of the locations or areas are blocked by this invisible wall. You can clearly see that you can grow in that location, but you can't because it's blocked by this invisible wall, which very much limits the space that you can travel into. However, the game's main objective is you are in this planet, you're trying to get out, and you have this structure or base that you need to keep building and also try and figure out a way to get off this planet because you don't have enough days to live here. So you have base building mechanics as well. You have a lot of structures that you can put out in this place to collect materials, to collect components that you can then use in that base to build something or do something to get off this planet. And the thing that sells this game the most is you can create your alternate versions in that base, and those can help you out possibly to get off this planet. They have their own life, they have their own skills, and you can utilize their skills to help build whatever that you want to build and go off this planet. The game has this 2.5D switch when you go inside the base, where you are just building new rooms, which is pretty cool. You are just building these rooms, placing them in certain places so that you can actually go to those rooms. And it's very cool to go beyond these different levels where you can do multiple level of things, whether it's sleeping or creating something, crafting something, creating a new version of yourself. You also have this area where you can communicate apparently to the base of operations, where there's some AI trying to talk to you, but you cannot really reach. But yeah, the game looks great. It's voice acted by one person, Alex Jordan, and he's acting all these versions of him, which is pretty cool. And you don't see anybody else. That's the only person you see. So that's it for what's new in games. Those are some of the news that is brewing around at the moment and some of the games that I played. What are the games that you're playing? What are the games that you're excited for? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're liking what you're seeing, then subscribe to watch more of these every bi-weekly, every 2 weeks or something like that. And you can stick around in this channel to watch Behind the Voice podcast, where I talk to actors from various video games. The recent one being from Hellblade 2, the actor who played the role of Thor guest star. You can check it out right now by clicking the link somewhere in the video.